Hey folks, how's it going this morning? Me and old Gypsy Cat are gonna tackle this bass neck this morning. I'm gonna refret it, and I got a bunch of other stuff here I gotta do too. I got some setups to do on a couple guitars and some wiring and stuff. Stuff showing up, so I can't shoot the fun videos for a while. I gotta do the work ones for a few days, so I'll see if I can sneak something cool in there in between too. But anyway, we're gonna refret this. It's already prepped and ready to go, which is most of the work. There is some more chips that are gonna have to be filled, but I'm gonna fill some of them after I get the frets in, and then just level up to the fret, so it won't, you won't feel it with your fingers, and it won't be a visual either. So we're using some Fender. This is vintage bass wire. Got this on eBay. It's already pre-radiused and everything, so that's nice. That'll save me a step doing that. So a couple things you want to check before you do this. You want to make sure that your slots are deep enough for the tang, and you should measure that before you even get your fret wire, you know what I mean? That's what determines what fret wire you're going to use, unless you're going to cut the slots deeper or whatever. So I always check that. Use a set of feeler gauges. You can see what, how deep it is, how wide the actual slot is for your frets. Now this stuff's, it's probably, I'm going to go a little bit more. I think I can go maybe one more, so that would put it at about 20. Yeah, that's a little tight. So around 25 thousandths, something like that, a little over 50 millimeters. You want to make sure that the fret will almost start to seat down in there, okay? Because if you don't, what happens is, as you do this, you'll start spreading this neck, and it will actually bow the neck, okay? And sometimes you can't get that out with the truss rod, so you want to really be careful of that. Sometimes you can use that to your advantage too. If the neck's really bowed this way and there's no truss rod, you can do a compression fret on it and actually bring that sag back to straight or close to it. And it will usually, hold its, stability as far as staying straight. I've done that on a guitar already, and it worked really well. The neck seems to be staying nice and straight, so, or as close to straight as I could get it. It's a fine line, because if you go too much with no truss rod, you get the drift. So anyway, we're going to get set up here. I'm going to get my fret hammer out. I'm going to glue these in too, and should go pretty good, like I said. The other thing you want to check is this. When you take your frets out, okay, I take a razor saw. I got one right here. Okay. So I take just the blade of my razor saw, and what I do, especially if they were glued in, okay, so just run it through the slot, and if you feel any bumps or drop-offs, it's more than likely a spot of glue. And you want to make sure you get that out of there, because what will happen is when you try to put the fret in, it'll seat on one side and it won't go all the way down in the other. I've had that happen. So what you got to do is pull the fret wire out, which usually is going to ruin it, and then cut it out. So I check every one of those first and make sure there's no glue bumps in there. And you can do it with a razor blade, but I use this saw because if there is a spot of glue, I'll just kind of file that out with that saw and you're good to go. Okay, I mean, I'm not trying to bore you with all this technical stuff, but this is really important information. Especially if you've never done this, those are some words of wisdom, trust me. I've I've learned the hard way. It's just what it is. That's why I'm taking the time to tell you guys this stuff. All right, let's get to work. Okay, guys, so we just put one in just to see how it would fit, and that went in really nice. And I am using glue to glue them in. So this is what you want to see. You want that fret to be seated right down in there nice like that. Okay, so the other thing I wanted to add was this. Like, I've got this little piece of carpet under here just to support it so the headstock, you know, doesn't get broke again when you're pounding. I don't want that hitting the bench, so I just put that under it. You don't need a lot. It's just enough to almost kind of compensate for the heel that sticks down. And that's it. So I think I'll set you guys in a different spot now, and we'll take a different view of it, okay? I'll show you exactly what we're doing. Okay, so what we're going to do is put some glue in here. Now this is similar to Titebond, what I'm using. You can use fish glue, you can use super glue, whatever you want to do. This seems to work really good, and it cleans up easy. That's why I like using it. And it gives me a little bit of work time in case I want to press these in or whatever, you know. It's not instant. Whoop. Now you want to make sure you get that started in there a little bit with your fingers if you can, and then you won't have to do what I just did, because they will walk off sideways on you, and that will leave a chip. So we just want to get them down, and I'm going to just wipe that little bit of glue out. So I do have a lot of chip out around these frets, which, you know, I'm going to have to fill those in eventually, but that's what we want. We want that seated right down nice. See, there's some big chips here too, but they'll be gone when I get done. It's just, you know, you can fill them before if you want to. I like to cut these off right now, and that way it's done, and I'm not, I can see that it's seated down, and I want to make sure it is, because after it's glued in, you know, there you go. You're going to have to heat it up and try to drive it down in. And so just, that's the biggest thing, is really, you know, check everything over, make sure it's down good. Give it a couple extras just to make sure if that makes you feel good. Okay, let's get the next one in. So this big chip here beside it, I'm just going to put a little bit of glue in that too as I go, because it's going to take a few lifts, you know, a few sessions, I should say, to fill this in right. So you might as well start right now, and that's what I figure. And I'm just leaving the frets hanging out over the backside edge a little bit, just to make sure it's enough. You don't want to pull it in too close and then not have enough fret wire hanging. Sorry about that. Yeah. Looking good. I just want to get this edge. Like I said, this glue takes a while to hit, so what I'll do is I'll put these in, I'll go right down the edges after and look them all over, and that's what it is. If there's any that are up, then we'll pound them down or press them down. Like I said, these chips were in this fretboard before I even pulled the old wire out. I really have never seen them get beat up that bad. I don't know really what caused it, but we're going to fill them in anyway so you won't feel them and see them. And we'll just go from there. Okay. Get that in there. That should do it. Give them a wipe. Cut her off. You want to make sure you take those cutoffs too and get them off your bench, off your floor. You don't want your pet stepping on them, or they're really sharp, and they can just appear anywhere on the floor for some reason. I could never find them if I drop them, so that's just how that goes. All right, let's get another one in here. I do like the size of this fret wire. It's not humongous, but it should, work good on it. It's the same size fret wire that was in this base, so I wanted to make sure of that so it would feel right to the player. Something he's used to, you know what I mean? And I recommend that too. If you got a good guitar that feels really good, put the same fret wire in it if you need to refret it. Because a lot of people don't realize how much of a difference that makes. We're talking thousandths of an inch tall or wide. And it feels completely different, in between different gauges of fret wire. So if you're used to a certain one, I recommend pulling one of your frets out before you order and measure it. Measure your original one. Yeah. Looking good. This is probably going to be a long video. Longer than normal. I'm just going to let it roll and let you guys tag along for the ride. Like I said, I got some pretty big projects to take care of here too soon. I got some setups and I got an amp that started smoking on me yesterday. My old PV Studio Pro, which I thought was bulletproof, but I turned it on and the light came on, and then it went out. And then it started to smoke. So I think the capacitors are gone. Something's making contact where it shouldn't, so I don't know. And it seemed to be coming out of that general area right where the filter caps are, so it's understandable. They get they get old after 25-30 years. Even the new capacitors go bad, so they got to be changed, and that's just what it is. And that amp's I don't know, probably from the 80s. Yep, I just dropped a piece of fret wire. There it is. It's weird. You can't even hear that stuff hit the floor. It's an odd thing. All right, we're getting there. Moving right along pretty good. Like I said, these are going in nice, so what I think I'm going to do is glue a few up and then just drive a few in. Not trying to hurry this, but if they're going smooth, you can kind of do that, and it'll just speed it up for you a little bit, Sorry about the camera shakes. I'm just trying to get you guys in really tight on this so you can watch it, as close as we can get you. Like I said, this ain't rocket science. It really isn't. As you can see, these go in really quick, when everything's done and prepped right. But, the prep work is where all the time is. You can easily spend 3 or 4 hours prepping one of these. I'm not kidding you. I probably I had to re-glue this one too, so I got quite a bit of time in it, but it is what it is. I'm not going to just go halfway. I'm going to do it right. You know, it's kind of one of them deals where you're leaving a signature behind when you do this stuff. Whether you like it or not, people are going to look at it and they're going to ask who did it. So try to do a good job. That's it. All right, I'm going to move you guys one more time. Okay, there's a little bird's eye view, I guess. A different view at least, right? Try to break it up for you, make it somewhat interesting. Okay. So again, I'm going to glue a few of these up right now. And just to kind of speed this up, I'm going to do like 4 at a time right here. So here we go. So you can kind of feel it, that it started sort of in the, right in the slot. It's kind of funny how you can tell, but you'll be able to tell. Once you set it in there, just push down a little bit, and if it doesn't rock back and forth, then you know you're seated in there good. All right, just want to make sure I got some sticking out on both ends, because you can't stretch them, right? You know, once they're too short, they're too short. You gotta, if you can pull it out and save it, you can do that. If not, that just cost you a piece of fret wire. Okay, so we're gonna clip these off. Now you see which, well, sorry about that. I didn't mean to, I moved the thing, but I wanted to note, you see how my pliers are? They're not like this. I'm clipping them off like this every time. And I make sure I do the same move every time. So if you do it the other way, it just kind of crushes the sides of the fret. So I try to do it that way. It seems to work best for me. Okay, so let's put the rest of them right in. All right. Yeah, it looks a little sloppy what I'm doing with this glue, but I'm also filling in some of these chips, so it's not a big deal. And this stuff cleans up really nice, so there we go. All right. You know, like I said, this doesn't take that long to do, but the stuff that I did before, like I said, all this prep work is what really takes the longest, so. And you want to make sure you spend the time on your prep work. Because if you don't, it is a nightmare, usually. You don't want to be halfway, you know, halfway through your job and trying to cut slots deeper, and it's no fun. So spend your time cleaning these slots out. If you want to fix any chip outs prior to doing your frets, that's always not a bad idea either. You know, you can. If they're not real bad, then I will. If they are, then I will, you know, do it afterwards like I'm doing with this, and kind of fill in some of the chips with the glue. There you have it. Okay, guys. That is all of them right there. I just got to clip them off, clean the glue a little bit, And I might even let some of it just rest in those chips, you know, for now. It isn't a bad deal either. So there you go. It didn't take that long. Looks like we've been 20 minutes, and I did some talking in the beginning. So the next thing will be to clip these off. And I'm not going to file the edges yet. I want to make sure the glue dries and the frets are seated. That was one more point I wanted to add. You know, you can file them right now if you want to. I would rather let the glue dry and seat the frets in. Then when I file it, I know I'm not moving them, and there's no chance for me to pull them up out of there or move them and break the glue joint. You know what I mean? So that's just my little thing. You guys can do it however you would like. Either way, it's fine. Depends on the glue you use, too. If you used CA glue, you know, you could file, you know, within a minute, you know. So it depends on what you're using for glue and, you know, what you want to do as far as cleanup and all that. So I don't mind waiting a little while to let this set up. I've used CA glue before, too. I usually try to use that if it's just, you know, if it's a couple frets or something, or just doing a partial, I may do it with CA. Or if a fret lifts, I may press it down and then hit it with CA glue while it's in the press. That kind of thing. It just, you know, it's a little more cleanup than this is. So, all right, guys. Well, thanks for sticking with me on this one. I got to order a set of tuners for it now and some strings. And I think we're going to be pretty close to putting this one back together. Once again, thanks a lot, guys. Thanks to all you new subscribers and all the help and support you guys are giving the channel. I really appreciate it. Okay, guys, we'll see you on the next one. Okie doke.